Today I'm going to show you guys how I do my eBay photos for my eBay store. It's going to be very unconventional, probably very different than the way that most of you guys do your photos for your eBay store. But I just wanted to show you guys my techniques and how I like to keep my white backgrounds consistent throughout all the items that I do list in my store. I'm going to show you how I shoot items on my whiteboard and bringing up those whites in the back to give it that nice bright white professional white background, and then bringing down the darks or the blacks and giving it a nice contrast look where the photo really pops and gets a lot more attention to your items in your eBay stores. I'm also going to show you how I key out the green background while I shoot my clothes on the mannequin to make that green background white in just a few steps. So if you want to see a new technique and maybe something you may want to do in the future, stick around and I'll show you how I do it. Also, I just want to mention that I do use an iMac computer. So during the tutorial, I will be talking about using the shortcuts, using either the command for Mac or control for the PC for you PC users. Also, I wanted to mention that the quality of the tutorial itself is like a little bit grainy because I was using my phone to record my screen. I shouldn't have done that. I should have been using the camera that I'm using now to record my screen. And I don't have time to reshoot it, but I think it's clear enough that you can see what's going on, even though it is a bit grainy. And I do apologize for that. But for this time, we're just going to have to kind of deal with it. But for the future, I will be using this camera, which will be a lot better quality in the tutorials or anything that I'm showing you on my screen. So again, I apologize for the graininess of the tutorial itself, but I think you could see it clear enough to understand what I was doing. So here's the first example of how I'm going to make this white background brighter white and make it more professional, and to get rid of, if you look closely, we have some blemishes on my whiteboard. I got this black spot here. It's like a little hole from whatever, like a dent in the board. I have some dirt, there's some scratches and all that stuff. I've had these boards for a while and I've shot a lot of stuff on it. And it just happens that you get these scrapes and these little dirt marks that don't come up even though I do clean it quite often. But here I'm going to show you how you can fix that instead of going out and replacing these whiteboards, on a monthly basis or whatever. So here we are. We're going to hit the C on the keyboard to bring up the crop tool, and we're going to come over to the edge and we're going to hold down Option and drag in. So it brings in both sides at the same time. Same thing with the top. We're going to continue to hold Option and just drag down. That's pretty good. And then I'm going to right click on the mouse and come down to crop and crop it. Now what I want to do is brighten up the whites. So there's two ways. We want to bring up the curves, and there's two ways of doing that. So the first way is to come up to Image, go down to Adjustments, go over to Curves, and it brings up your curves right here. Another way of bringing it up is to Command or Control M, and that just makes it pop up. That's a nice shortcut to quickly do it. That's how I often do it. So now we're here in the curves, and here in the upper right hand corner of the curves, this is our lights or whites of the curves, and then in the middle is our mid-tones, and then down here on the bottom is our darks or blacks. But what we're going to do first is we're going to bring the middle and the mid-tones, up to the left-hand corner so the image brightens. And actually, by doing that, I'm getting rid of all the blemishes that were on the whiteboard. Now it looks like we're on a solid white board in a background. Once you get it up to your liking, then you want to come over here to your darks or your blacks just a little bit further down on the curve itself, and then just drag it down. And as you can see here, the blues are becoming more blue. It's getting more contrast. It's making it more punchy. It's making the image pop, which is what you want. You can see here, this is the after, of course. That's before. After, before. So you can see how much of a difference even those two little tweaks made in the image itself. It's ready to be listed now. Here's another example of the side of the truck. As you can see, it's like a flat image. I still can see the dirt and scratches down here on the left-hand side of the photo. See a little bit of shadow here, which is fine. But what we want to do is we want, again, this time we'll go up to image, adjustments, over to curves. That brings up our curves. Go to our mids, just drag it up until almost all the stuff on the board, all the dirt and the scratches are gone. And then just drag down the blacks. There you go. Now it has a nice red pop to the truck. We got the shadows are still there, which is great. And most of the dirt is gone. Now on this one, since it didn't get rid of all the dirt down the bottom, it's simple. That's all we have to do is we have the crop tool selected by hitting C, and I'm going to hold the option key and just drag down, and now all that dirt and scratches down on the bottom left hand corner is now gone. And we're just going to right click, go down to crop, and now it's cropped. There you go. It's ready for eBay. Okay, here we are with our first example with a solid blue Columbia shirt with the green background. Now we have two different ways we can handle this. We could either just mask around the shirt, or we could just key out the green from the back. So first we could just mask it. I'll show you how to do that first. So to do that, you want to hit W on the keyboard. That's going to bring up your selecting. And then you want to Command Control A, which is going to select everything. And then you're going to hold down the Option key, and you're just going to drag down and go around the shirt. See how it's just sticking to the outside of the shirt? And there you go. The whole outside of the shirt is selected. I noticed here it did not do very good. So I can left bracket down to make the brush much smaller and continue to hold Option, and there you go. That selected it. Same thing with this little hole here, this little green hole. Just hold down Option and just click it, and there you are. Everything is selected. So from here you want to either Command or Control Shift I to invert the image. And then we're going to hit B for brush on the keyboard. And then we want to come down here and make sure that we're going to be painting on white, which we are. And then we're just going to paint on to the photo. And there you are. There you go. Now it had made everything that was green now white. This shirt's done and ready to list. Now, the other way we could have handled this is to have keyed out the green. To do this, all we have to do is go up to the Select tab and then go down to Color Range. And there you can see on the right-hand side that the blue is now black and the green in the background is now white. That's a pretty good mask that we have going there. So we're going to hit OK. And if you look closely, you can see all the ants around the shirt and the outside. So it looks really good. And we're going to just click down on the brush that's white and just paint over everything. Now the difference on keying it out, it did not get the stand on the bottom of the image. To get rid of that, some people might be okay with just leaving it like that. but I always like to just get rid of it. So what I do is either Command or Control D to deselect the selection you had. Our brush is too big, so we're going to left bracket down. So it made our brush much smaller. And we're just going to go over where the stand is and just click. And there goes the stand. And there you go. You have a perfectly good white background and it's ready to be listed. This time we have a Hawaiian shirt, which is a lot more busy with the flowers and the plants, rather than just a solid shirt. Just want to demonstrate here that it can still be done the same way, even though the shirt is a lot more busy. So here, again, we're just going to go up to the Select tab, and we're going to select Color Range. And just like that, it's that instant. Over here on the right-hand side, we can see that the shirt is mostly white. As long as we paint just outside the border of the shirt, none of the middle here that's not selected will be affected. There's no sense of spending more time on that. And of course the black is where the green used to be. So we hit OK. And then over here on the bottom, we want to make sure that this is white, which it is. And then we need to invert the image. So we're either going to go Command Shift or Control I. And that's going to invert the image. I'm going to right bracket just to make my brush a little bit bigger. And then I'm just going to paint the white right onto the shirt. And now it's done. Some people won't mind this post on the bottom. I always get rid of it. So the way that I do that is, first thing we have to do is deselect the selection that we had. So by doing that, you want to Command or Control D to deselect. And then we're going to come down here, we're going to left bracket to make my brush much smaller and just go over there, the post part, and just click. And there you go, it's done. Here's another example of the same shirt, but this is the back of the shirt, and I had not cropped in yet. So this is really what the raw image would have looked like from straight out of the camera. So what we're going to do first is the same thing. We're going to select to the color range, and as you can see that it keyed out most of the green. Some of the sides here that are white over here, and on this side is where the green screen didn't even exist. So that's okay. And then the shirt is mostly white. So this is very good. So we want to hit OK. So now the shirt is basically selected. Make sure that this is white here. And we want to invert the image by Command Shift or Control I. And then hit B on the keyboard for brush. Our brush is pretty small, so we want to right bracket to make it bigger. And we're just going to paint around the shirt. Now, of course, we could have cropped this first, but either way, it doesn't really matter. And then we're going to hit C on the keyboard for crop. And here I'm going to hit hold down the Option key, so that way both sides of the crop come in. And there we have it. Now it's cropped and done. Now some people may just leave it just like this with the back of the mannequin post and the light post on the bottom. I always get rid of it, and the way that I do that is I just hit B on the keyboard for brush. And our brush is really big, so I want to left bracket down, so the brush is much smaller. And then we're just going to go across the top and then across the bottom, and those things are gone. And now you have a great image for eBay. So that's how I do my photos in Photoshop for my eBay store. I understand it can seem confusing and complicated if you're not very good with Photoshop, but trust me, once you do it a few times, you're going to be just as good as me. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button, and please subscribe to see more videos in the future. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one.